Investment in South Yorkshire, supporting our Mayor Oliver Coppard, so that in addition to the reopening of Doncaster Airport, he can renew the existing and now publicly controlled Supertram network. Investment in the west of England, backing the Mayor Helen Godwin's plans for mass transit development across the region, and improved rail infrastructure to help unlock more services. Investment in the Tees Valley, in Middlesbrough Station, unblocking local networks and increasing capacity on local lines. They will mean the revival of high streets. They will mean young people able to stay close to homes and pursue the opportunities that they dream of.
When a single silent gesture can express what millions are thinking, Rachel Reeves faced a live TV moment she never expected when an audience member's simple reaction left the room in stunned silence. What did this quiet protest reveal about Labour's leadership? And why does it resonate so deeply with frustrated voters? How can a quiet, motionless act express the frustration of an entire nation? For Rachel Reeves, it happened while she confidently laid out her plans to improve living standards and reinvigorate public services during a live TV moment. She spoke with a tone of determination, presenting policies designed to inspire hope. But then it happened. A member of the audience made a small, silent gesture that pierced the flow of her carefully crafted words. There were no boos or loud interruptions, just a look that lingered for far too long, accompanied by folded arms and a disbelieving shake of the head. The silence was louder than any heckle, creating a tension in the room that took a moment to settle. For Reeves, it was clear her message wasn't breaking through. That single gesture wasn't just about the words being spoken. It became a symbol of something deeper. The contrast between Reeves's optimistic delivery and the reality of everyday struggles couldn't have been more apparent. One audience member, clearly unimpressed, later commented they'd need a beer or 20 to forget the scene. It wasn't the kind of reaction you'd expect to follow a speech aiming to uplift, but it was one that many watching could likely relate to. For some, the promises of improved living standards might ring hollow.
I can tell you today that we will be making the biggest ever investment by a British government in transport links within our city regions and their surrounding towns. For some people living in some of our biggest cities and towns around them, these measures will mean shorter commute times. They will mean good work and money flowing back into local economies, unlocking new homes, new jobs, new investment and leisure opportunities across our region. £15.6 billion in transport funding settlements to be delivered by our regional mayors.
Against their own experiences of rising bills, overstretched public services, and faltering economic confidence. History tells us that silent protests like these carry remarkable weight. From Rosa Parks' refusal to give up her seat to voters turning their backs at rallies, quiet gestures can shift conversations more powerfully than shouting ever could. These moments resonate because they aren't staged or rehearsed. They come across as authentic, emotional markers of collective dissatisfaction. This example from Reeves's speech, while less dramatic, tapped into that same energy. It echoed the frustration many feel when confronted with political rhetoric that seems disconnected from reality. Perhaps this moment struck such a nerve because it highlighted dissonance, Labour speaking of a brighter future, while voters struggle to meet the demands of today. The reality of economic hardship creates a sharp contrast with any grand promises, making this silent act more piercing.
They will mean the revival of high streets. They will mean young people able to stay close to homes and pursue the opportunities that they dream of, to deliver on the priorities of their communities. New trams, new train stations and bus routes to link up our towns and cities. In short, it will mean the renewal of our cities and our towns all across the UK. More parts of our country benefiting and more people and more places across the UK feeling better off.
It wasn't just about Reeves, it was about a recurring pattern in Labour's attempts to connect. And it goes far beyond speeches about economic growth, stretching into policies on defence and national security, where similar disconnects continue to alienate voters. Behind the quiet defiance of one audience member lies a broader issue: Labour's struggle to connect with the very people it claims to represent. Rachel Reeves's polished delivery may have ticked the boxes in terms of presentation, but moments like that silent gesture expose the glaring gap between Labour's narrative and public sentiment. This frustration is not new, and it's certainly not limited to economic matters. Critics from across the spectrum have been pointing to similar disconnects in Labour's approach to other key areas, including defence and national security. Bob Seely recently directed sharp criticism at Keir Starmer, accusing him of projecting an image of strength that doesn't match his track record. I personally find it offensive the way that Keir Starmer dresses up in a uniform and looks like he's acting tough, Seely remarked, addressing the Labour leader's public appearances in military attire. His comments struck a chord with those who see this as more performative than substantive. For voters who value authenticity and straightforward leadership, such displays can feel staged, underscoring the perception of Labour being out of step with the mood of the country. Beyond appearances, Seely has touched on the implications of Labour's perceived inconsistency on defence policies, particularly in areas like deterrence and spending.
Investment in the East Midlands, so that our Mayor Claire Ward can forge the Trent Arc, linking Derby and Nottingham, to create tens of thousands of new jobs and homes. And investment in the West Midlands, backing our Mayor Richard Parker's plans for a metro expansion from Birmingham city centre to the new sports quarter, with the potential to create more than 8,000 jobs and catalyse the regeneration of East Birmingham and of Solihull. They will mean the revival of high streets. They will mean young people able to stay close to homes and pursue the opportunities that they dream of.
He critiqued the government's approach to defence funding and diplomatic strategy, noting, "The reality is that deterrence is expensive, but it is always cheaper than fighting." The claim suggests that Labour, while emphasising future reforms, fails to address immediate challenges such as global instability and military readiness, issues that impact voters concerned about both national security and efficient use of public finances. This echoes broader frustrations about Labour's messaging, which often focuses on long-term economic growth while leaving today's concerns seeming unanswered. The silent protest during Reeves's speech embodies this larger issue. It wasn't simply a reaction to one politician's ideas, it symbolised a deeper scepticism about the party's capacity to bridge the chasm between rhetoric and reality. And if Labour cannot connect with voters on immediate needs, no amount of optimistic policy promises will sway public perception. Change must start with listening. The silent gesture during Rachel Reeves's speech wasn't just an awkward moment. It was a stark reminder of how far Labour's leadership has to go to truly connect with voters. It exposed a growing divide between the party's polished optimism and the real struggles being faced nationwide. This wasn't about one audience member's reaction. It captured a frustration many feel, a demand to be heard rather than lectured. If Labour wants to lead, they must prioritise listening. Public trust isn't built on promises alone. It's earned through understanding and action. The question now is whether Labour will rise to this challenge.